If it hurts, game breaks, no games, you know it up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, 2 games after this win in. First year game, we're here for the first May. Carry by you never 6 minutes. To be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here.
I've said it from when I got here. The expectation, the standard is to play elite defense here, not just good defense. This is the home of Eric Berry, Al Wilson, Reggie White. The standard is to be elite.
In this league, there are no off days. I don't care who you're playing against. I mean, you have to bring your A game every single day. And we have to have that type of chip on our shoulder when we go in there. And we can't go in there and think we can start slow. All right, we got to start fast. We got to finish fast, and we got to keep putting more gas on. So,
I mean, if you're going to start, I think you start with Dolly Parton. She was on the Howard Stern show yesterday. I called in to a radio show for the first time in my life to try and let her know how much she does for the state of Tennessee. I got rejected. So maybe I'll get to say hello to her in person. The Kansas City Chiefs can have Taylor Swift all they want. We'll take Dolly Parton on Saturday. But
I don't believe there are good people that pull for Georgia. I think they're all terrible, ugly, disgusting human beings. I think it's just that, no, there are no good Georgia fans, Eric. There are none. Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley.
And I'm Coach Jay.
Hard to believe, Coach Jay, we only got 2 more of these things left, man. You only get 12 of them. You get 12 every year. It's hard to believe Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is next week. You big Thanksgiving guy? You big Thanksgiving guy?
Heck yeah, I'm a big Thanksgiving guy. Give me all. You got to make a turkey. I make a ham too, man. I make both. I smoke a ham, cook a turkey, make some mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing. Shoot, man, the whole 9 yards. We go all out. Dutch dumplings, man. We make everything over here in California for Thanksgiving that we possibly can stuff our faces with, and it's always sad that the season is starting to wind to an end, but also a good time to start to encourage people. Boogie, recruiting, it never ends, right? It is an all of the time thing, and recruiting is about to kick up. It's kind of fortuitous that old Coach Jay's power went out this morning, and he had to make it over to the old breaking down the film with Coach Jay studio over here in the beautiful city of Pasadena. But starting to feel like recruiting again and getting exciting for that because we're going to have one heck of a time and encourage y'all who weren't there for the last season to tune in this year. It's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I don't have a whole list of names on 25s yet. I know there's a bunch of them that are going to be on campus for the Georgia game. Two of the top offensive tackles, I think maybe the number 1 and number 2 offensive tackle in the class of 25 are going to be on campus. I think I saw that Tennessee just got a prediction for a 4-star defensive back. We're ramping up the recruiting coverage, man. We're going to do live streams covering recruiting. That excites me. Coach Rice is wanting to get in the mix and start joining us for some recruiting talk. So hopefully we can dial it up, keep the film breakdown stuff coming, keep the live film breakdown stuff coming, and also add some recruiting live streams. We got a big football game coming up on Saturday. Number 1, Georgia Bulldogs rolling into town. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let's see how you guys feel on this Friday morning. Yuma Vol is here, says morning nation. Timothy McGee is here. Tim Rice is here. Negaval says good morning. Big Orange Talkin VAWLS Nation. Andre says don't quit. Just don't quit. Give me your very best. Keep going. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that. I'm curious to see. I like keeping Coach Jay away from the channel. He's not been on the channel since Sunday night. So we got a lot to get into and talk about where this fan base is at. Can this football team bounce back? Ian Pickett is here. 3 dumb guys are here. Don says Vols win Saturday. The upset is on. Guys, come on in, smash the thumbs up. You know the deal by now. These Friday morning streams hit just a little bit different. You want to support us, hit the thumbs up, hit that share button, put it out on Twitter. Rocky Top Tom is here, been a member for almost a year. Appreciate that, Tom. Says George Jones told me. What happened?
I was going to say Rocky Top Tom a moment ago in the chat. Sorry, Boogie, I had to address this. That is not a Michigan Wolverines helmet. That is a Twin Cities national Pop Warner champion football helmet that we coached. Go Twin City Wolverines, and a special team in their own right. I have a Pop Warner national championship Twin Cities Wolverine ring right here. Very proud of that. Those are hard to come by. But
Tom's telling us that he doesn't watch the film breakdowns. That's what he's telling us with that comment. He doesn't watch the film breakdowns. You would know that. But he does say George Jones told me FedEx is here. FedEx is here at 9:30 in the morning. George Jones told me this morning it's finally Friday. Don't think he knew it's a Talkin VAWLS live stream Friday. Missing the opossum. Go Vols. Jackie Pickle becomes a member of the channel. Thank you, Jackie, for that. You guys want to support us? Hit the join button down below. $1. That's it. $1. There's 139 people watching right now. If you want to contribute, hit that join button. Crystal drops a $2 super chat. Says good morning, guys. Well, good morning, Crystal. Good to see you in the chat. Dylan for 5 says I have zero faith we beat Georgia. But if we do, I'll go full Reba McEntire. That's the night that the lights went out in Georgia. Timothy McGee for 5. I hope Coach Heupel starts to learn to throw to a point instead of option routes. Man, Timothy's been on that all week. All week he has been on that. Donovan for $8, conveniently an $8 super chat when Coach Jay comes back on the show. Says, I think Ramel Keaton has a big game tomorrow. I will be there. Go Vols. Coach Jay, when Vols host a playoff game next year, will you be here? Hashtag GOAT.
Yes. If we host a playoff game, Coach Jay will be in the house.
Let's see. We got a $10 super chat from Brian. Appreciate that. Says Dorothy, I am, however, trying to get over Vol fans selling off their tickets to the Bulldogs. Awful look for recruiting tomorrow. Now I have to be even louder. I've seen a lot of that going around the internet. There's going to be a lot of red and black there tomorrow, and that is unfortunate. We're going to talk about recruiting coming up in just a little bit, but it's unfortunate because you want to have that atmosphere, right, Coach Jay? You want to have that same atmosphere you had against South Carolina, the same atmosphere you had last year when Florida came to town, when Alabama came to town last year. You want to be able to show off to these recruits. I don't necessarily think you have to go win the game on Saturday to win over some of these recruits, but you got to have that atmosphere.
Yeah, no, I think you do. We talk about it all the time that Neyland Stadium is the greatest recruiting tool that this university has, and it's a huge home field advantage. Just look at what Tennessee, Josh Heupel, and these past 2 teams have been able to accomplish at Neyland Stadium. So, what kind of ratio are you expecting, Boogie? Anyone know?
Man. It's going to be one of those, you play some mediocre non-conference opponent, and they got the little section down there in the corner, and you see a little sprinkle of the other color. Then you start playing the big teams like the Floridas, the Alabamas, and you see more in the upper deck. I just have a fear there's going to be a lot. Man, I don't know. I'm terrible with numbers. I have no idea, but I think there's going to be a lot of red and black down there, which I don't like. It's a bad look. George 5 says UGA is better, but will not be surprised if we win this one. No East on the line. It's our Super Bowl, shock the world, and would be huge for recruiting. Timothy drops another 2 to say, no, I've been talking about this for 12 weeks, not just this week, Boogie. Vol fan in the Air Force 5 says, Dorfy, GBO, FUGA. Thank you, guys. We're caught up on Super Chats. You guys being very generous this morning. We appreciate that. You guys support this thing. We appreciate that. Does Tennessee really have a chance? Look, all the numbers, right? We've been talking to them all week long. Tennessee looking to be Georgia, looking to be the first team ever in SEC play to go 8-0 3 straight years. Since they moved to the 8-game schedule in 92, they're on a 27-game winning streak. Number 1 team in the country. Oh, and by the way, I think they're playing their best football right now. 611 yards last week against Ole Miss. Tennessee, however, everybody wants to talk about the home winning streak. Donovan's been preaching it all week in the Facebook group, and I get it. Neyland is an advantage. Is it going to be an advantage on Saturday? Does Tennessee really have a chance in this thing? Week by week, right? Coach speak. You take them 1 week at a time. We heard Cooper Mays kind of talking about that this week. We heard Jacob Warren talking about that this week. Does this team really believe it? Do you think you can separate what happened last week on the road and get fired up, ready to go play Georgia on Saturday?
Sure, I think you can separate it. It happens every week in college football. Ask anyone that gambles at a high tick. I can promise you they will say, oh, man, this team's got no chance. I'm going to bet all my money on Team Y. And then Team Y goes out there and gets smoked after looking good one week and looking like a turd the following week. So these are young men, and they can fluctuate and go up and down. So, yeah, there's certainly a chance that Tennessee wins this game. And, hey, look, Tennessee looked bad against Missouri, right? They played their bad game. Can they go out and play a good game? Sure. And you've seen it. We went out there. We played with Bama, right? We played with everyone we've been on the field with. We've been able to run against one of the better run defenses out there. We can be in this game, and we can force a good game. To bring it full circle back to recruiting, the difference in a Tennessee and a Georgia right now is depth. Do they have some better starters in some positions and all that, especially with us being banged up at wide receiver? Yeah, sure. But our ones can still play with their ones just fine. It's the depth and it's the age of the depth, which is why it's so dang important, as you talk about, Boogie, to keep stacking these recruiting classes so that we can kind of close that gap. Because right now that's the gap between us and a Bama and a Georgia, is that depth of talent and the age of the depth of the talent.
Hank drops a $2 super chat, says, we got 150 in the chat and only 50 likes. Tighten up, ball fans. Hit the thumbs up. Hey, it's quick, free, and easy. But I get it. Some people watch on their TV. I get it. But we do appreciate everybody that smashes that thumbs up or hit that share button. Put it on Twitter, Facebook, wherever. We would appreciate that as well. On the road to 25,000. We're right around the corner from 24,000. Look, this is how the internet works. Yesterday, I pissed off the entire internet. I'll get to Stash Fireman Super Chat in just a minute. I pissed off the entire internet because I made a video that said, is Josh Heupel the guy? Now, I'm addressing people out there that are questioning Josh Heupel. I'm calling out people that are criticizing Josh Heupel. But meanwhile, I pissed off the entire internet because they read the title, they look at the thumbnail, and they instantly hate Boogie Bentley. It is what it is. You guys want to help me share the thing out. Put it on Twitter, put it on Facebook. Let's grow this thing. But so much interaction, so much negativity. Then I took to the Facebook group and I said, hey guys, I got all these mini helmets back here. I want to give away a free mini helmet. If we can grow this chat, if we can get this thing to 24,000 by the end of the day. Do you know how many interactions that got? Do you know how many comments that got? Do you know how many thumbs up that got? Not a single, none. Positivity, bad. Negativity, good. The internet, man. Stash Fireman for $20. That is not cheap, but we retired Pat McAfee. So the only clip we got is the $1 Million Man for 50 spots, although somebody did say I should play the Georgia clip for hundos. So we got a little bit of time left to do that. Stash Fireman says, do they have a chance? Yeah, if the secondary shows up and Overthrow Joe plays well, GBO, FUGA. Man, when I look at this football game, and we'll get into more Tennessee, Georgia a little bit later in the show, I think it starts with the running game. I think you got to be able to run the football, and Joe just needs to be efficient. You got to get back to doing what you do. But, the negativity in this fan base, everybody in this fan base seems down in the dumps, that this thing's over. Tennessee has no shot. But let's go back last week, and I talked about this on Wednesday. I talked about it with Eric Kane. You go back to last week, we're talking about how this team's trending in the right direction. You had a 2-score lead over Alabama at halftime. Of course, you blew that. We all know how the third quarter unfolded. But you went on the road against Kentucky. You bounced back after that loss to Alabama. You got a win. You did what you were supposed to against Connecticut. After halftime of the A&M game, I felt like Joe Milton was playing his best football. Is that Heisman Trophy level football? No, but it's Joe Milton's best football. We were all not satisfied necessarily, not happy, but we were okay with where this program was at. How quickly things change after a loss to Missouri. That's why I asked, can they bounce back? And when we talked about the numbers on the Wednesday night stream, Coach Jay's all over the place.
Sorry, I had to plug in my computer. It was there you go. Now it's on. Sorry about that.
We talked about Heupel bouncing back after a loss. 12-2 in his career, 7-1 at Tennessee, coming back from a loss. 5-1 at UCF. We saw them respond after Alabama against Kentucky. But how quickly things change from one week to the next in this fan base.
Yeah. Listen, people are always going to have knee-jerk reactions. It doesn't really work like that when you're actually coaching, when you're actually on the field. We kind of talked about it, how it sucks. It's hard as a fan to take a loss like that. It hurts your soul a little bit. Like poor Coach Rice sitting over there sick, upset, pondering life, staring blankly at a pond, wondering why the fish swim upstream and such. And, you really feel it, but as Coach Rice can probably also tell you, and as I'll tell you, when you get to go out there the very next day, go put some work in, go put some sweat down, go let the pads pop a little bit, go work on your scheme, go refocus yourself. A loss like that should sting. It should hurt. It should refocus you. It should have you sharpening your axe on the old grindstone and getting ready to embed it in the other team's head.
Timothy with another $5 super chat says, I criticize him being married to Milton and wide out option routes. Man, Timothy does not like option routes, and he does not like Joe Milton. Let's talk a little recruiting. It is a huge weekend of recruiting for Tennessee, and it starts with this guy right here, the headliner. The headliner on Saturday, 5-star offensive tackle Jordan Seaton. You can see him tweeting out, Vol Nation, I'm coming back, official visit. Show him some love on Twitter at Jordan Seaton _. Go retweet that. Go leave a comment. Let him know, man. I know it sounds dumb. It sounds silly. These kids, these recruits, they love attention on social media. Let's give it to them. Let's show them what Vol Nation's all about. But again, 5 official visitors. Jordan Seaton, probably the headliner for me. We've talked about his story before. Boo Carter takes the visit out to Colorado. Old Boogie's on YouTube making videos saying, should we be concerned? Playing clips of Deion Sanders getting accused of recruiting for Colorado. Almost like Coach Jay being out there on the yacht with the Southern California kids. But, hey, man, I was just concerned. But meanwhile, what does Boo Carter do? He brings Jordan Seaton back with him to Knoxville. The visit for the South Carolina game. VolQuest is saying this is Oregon, Ohio State, probably biggest competition, but it sounds like Tennessee is out front. Jordan Seaton going to visit Oklahoma next week. How you feeling about the big 5-star offensive tackle?
Call me crazy, but I kind of like our chances. He's come back for a second time. Whenever you can get someone on campus for that second game, I think it's huge. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Boo Carter is also coming to this game. And if I'm hearing things correctly, I'm hearing that Boo and Jordan have really struck up a pretty special relationship. So I'm really liking the sound of that, because Boo Carter might be the best recruiter that this Tennessee staff has right now. Just really, someone the other kids want to follow, kind of a real leader, a real alpha dog amongst dogs. And Boo, do everything you can, man. Dance that dance away, play that fiddle, get old Jordan Seaton to come, because I'm hoping to do a breakdown on this kid. I've watched a lot of his film already, guys. That's a bad bad man right there, and exactly the kind of person you want protecting, people like Nico, people like George, if he comes, and the quarterback that's committed. I can't think of his last name.
Merklinger.
Merklinger. There you go. I was like, can't say it. But yeah, so super excited about to see what Seton can do. We'll get into it when we do his breakdown, but just great feet, never plays over his toes. A true mauler, uses his hands inside, outside well. Can really pull well as a tackle. And those of you who understand this Josh Heupel offense know how vital it is that the tackles can trap and pull. The tackles in Heupel's offense really need to be able to do all the things that guard does, plus do all the things that tackle can do. Jordan Seton fits that mold. Special kid. Come home, Jordan. Just come home.
Jordan Seton God, I was listening to you talk and trying to read at the same time. Chad Simmons put out a bunch of recruiting updates just this morning. This is what he had to say about Jordan Seton. He was supposed to visit Ohio State last weekend, did not do that because IMG Academy still in the playoffs. They had practice. He was unable to do that. He is going to be in town officially this weekend. Chad Simmons says the Vols have become a strong contender in this race. And this official visit is key for Seton and the Vols. A week after visiting Tennessee, he confirmed again Tuesday that he plans to visit Oklahoma. Ohio State still working to get Seton on campus as well. Still a lot of moving parts in this race that's expected to go until early signing period, December the 20th. Communication with a list of schools is still ongoing, including Alabama, Colorado, Florida, and Oregon. To go with the ones already mentioned, Tennessee gets the next visit, and the Vols have as good of a chance as any of the schools on Seton list. The schools coming up the most, Ohio State, Oregon, and Tennessee. So I like where Tennessee is at with that. Obviously, that's a huge one, man. And you look at recruiting for the class of 24, right? And we talk about top 5 class. Tennessee is at 11th right now. And yesterday in the video about Heupel, I talked a lot about recruiting because Heupel kind of touched on it during Vol Calls when he talked about Georgia and how they've recruited at an elite level and they've added so many classes together. You got to look at where Heupel's at, right? His first class he comes in, you got to remember, Jeremy Pruitt just fired. Heupel comes in January and has a month to try to piece together this class. He signed some studs in that class, man. I went through them name by name in that video yesterday. If you missed it, go back and watch it. Don't buy into what the thumbnail is, or just go watch the video. A lot of good information. Second year, NCAA investigation still looming, but I think in this class of 24, it's crucial that he put on more momentum, and you got to get this thing. If you're not in the top 5, you definitely have to be in the top 7, in my opinion. You add Jordan Seton, I think he would. Let me see what his grade is. 98. Would he be the highest? He would be the highest graded player in this class. He would jump ahead of Mike Matthews, Jordan Ross. But Coach, let's talk about offensive line recruiting. Bennett Warren. Legitimate dude, 4-star offensive tackle. You continue to scroll down the list. William Satterwhite, Max Anderson on the interior, 4-star prospects. And then you go on down. A lot of people talking about Gage Ginther being underrated. We did a film breakdown on him. I know you like him. You got Jesse Perry in this class. You add Jordan Seton, and you're talking about, what, three highly rated 4-stars and a legitimate 5-star top-ranked offensive tackle. That's an A+ for Glenn Ellerby in my book.
Yeah, easy A+ if he pulls in Seton. Bennett Warren, another guy, just that natural tackle body. Seton has it too. You just can't teach it, right? Those real long arms, yet not gangly, wiry, long, strong, big arms. The ability to keep good feet, to be quick out of the block. Nice typewriter feet, quick choppy feet is what we want. Is an offensive tackle, and then the ability to get on your horse and move is so important. Bennett Warren was not to be overlooked, Boogie. He was a huge asset, and you could really see Bennett Warren and Jordan Seton lining up right tackle and left tackle and really bookending a good offensive line for years to come.
Let me catch up on some Super Chats real quick. Donovan for $8 says this Georgia D-line is good, but not like the 2021 D-line that came in here. Our linebackers have to take good angles and not misstep. That was a lot, and I know VolQuest was talking about it a lot. We talked about it some on the postgame show. Elijah Herring looked awful, and a lot of that was missteps, misdirection, moving guys in motion. I don't think it's the Georgia team of old. They're still a dang good football team that is peaking at the right time, so that's a concern. MD Vols for 10. Says looking for sustained drives in this team playing with a chip on their shoulder because last Saturday doesn't define this team. I'm with you there. I'm with you, MD Vols. Last week does not define this team. But how do you respond? How do you bounce back? What do they do on Saturday? Tennessee's got to win first downs, right? They have to win first downs. Too many times, holding calls put you in 1st and 20. The fumble from Jalen Wright on the speed option pitch puts you in 2nd and 16. You can't do that against teams like Georgia. Joe Milton's not good enough to go out there and recover from a 1st and 20, 2nd and 15, 2nd and long. You got to win first down. That's why the run game is so important, and that's why we're seeing when the run game's not there, this team cannot win because Joe Milton's not good enough to lead this team, and that it just is what it is. That's where we're at. Timothy McGee for 5 says, heck, Gaston Moore got the ball out faster than Milton. Gaston Moore's not going to play. He's not going to start. What a great asset Gaston Moore is to this football team. Even going into next year, when this is Nico's team and you've got Jake Merklinger coming in as a freshman, having Gaston Moore as that backup, that's huge. That's huge for Josh Heupel in the era of the transfer portal. Chase Simmons for 2 says, Coach Jay, who's the key player for the Vols in this one?
I think it's whoever the will is. Whoever the weak side linebacker opposite to Beasley is the key to this game, whether it be Caleb Perry or Herring or T-Lander or any of them. I think that will linebacker is going to be important. Georgia likes to run, B to C gap. They like to get that downhill when they do it. And then they like to run that play action and to the tight end and put the will linebacker in conflict. That's been a problem for Tennessee. And Boogie was just touching on it a second ago, how it was a problem in the Missouri game. It just hasn't been a problem in the Missouri game. Young linebackers can struggle when you put them into conflict at a high level. And that will linebacker position concerns me. And usually it doesn't concern me in the run game as well, but I do have a little bit of concern after struggling so much in the pass game. Sometimes when you're focusing so much on one thing, it's almost like, oh crap, and the run game, and I got to make my run reads, right? So maybe it's the linebacker coach in me, but I worry about that will linebacker position in this game. And if I think the will linebacker can shut down the tight end B to C gap, I think Georgia's offense could struggle. And if their offense struggles, I think we could have a good game. It's kind of, week on week when we talk about Georgia's red zone defense and Tennessee's red zone offense. They have one of the worst red zone defenses in America, and we have one of the worst red zone offenses in America. So something's got to give.
Have you noticed? I did not notice this. They were talking about it on VolQuest, and I have not noticed this. Somebody asked why Aaron Beasley kind of has quietened down and you've not seen him flying around as much. Have you noticed that they've been moving him back and forth between Mike and Will since I don't know when they started that. I don't know if it wouldn't have been when Arian Carter got hurt. I've not noticed that, but they said he's going back to Mike. He is going back to Mike this week. He's going to play Mike. And then, like you said, you'll see Elijah Herring, Jeremiah T-Lander, whoever it is, Caleb Perry that steps out there at the wheel beside him. I've not noticed that. I don't really watch linebackers in live action. I watch usually the defensive line.
Yeah, I've been known to keep an eye on him from time to time, Boogie. To answer your question, though, yeah, I have noticed. And I think they're just kind of, trying to find the right formula. Sometimes these young linebackers have played Mike the whole time, right? They were the best player at linebacker their whole life, and usually the best player at linebacker their whole life plays Mike. So I think they were probably just trying to get some of these young linebackers a little more comfortable, a little more familiar with what they're doing. There are many, many nuances between playing Will and Mike. And I think they were just trying to maybe create, some more comfort and sliding Beasley over to Will and having a little more faith in him at that slot. Doesn't seem like it worked out, but hey, you can't blame coaches for trying to solve problems out there. That's a good thing to see when they are aware that something is an issue and they try to solve it. It's a good thing.
We're bouncing all over the place here, but look, when you guys drop super chats, you want to change gears, we'll change gears. We're going to get back into recruiting here in just a second. We are going to break down this Tennessee-Georgia game Timothy McGee for 5 says, heck, 2 games. Let's open it up and quit playing. Oh, come on. Don't make me read that on air. But I understand. And I've said that all week. I think when Tennessee has the opportunity, they need to take shots. I don't care if you trust Joe Milton or don't trust Joe Milton. What's the worst that can happen? You go out and lose to Georgia? Oh well, so be it. At least go down playing aggressive. Ron the Don for 5 says, we can do this. Play with pride and discipline. Nico cometh. What's up, Ron? Ron's the man. Lazy Llamas drops a $50 super chat. We'll play the clip.
Money isn't everything. It's the only thing. And everyone has a price for the $1 Million Man.
$50 is not cheap. Thank you, Lazy Llamas, for the support. Says, good morning, fellas. Had to take some time away from social media after that loss. Felt like a gut punch covering a week of door fees. Feeling refreshed and hoping we can finish the year strong. I'm still not back yet, man. I'm still, like, this loss is still bothering me. I'm going into the Georgia game. Typically, by the time we get to Friday, I've got some type of confidence. I've got, something's going to light a fire in me, and we're going to go out and win this football game on Saturday, no matter who they're playing. I've not got that. I'm not got there yet. If you watched Locked On Balls this morning, Kaner sabotaged me. He sabotaged me. I was setting myself up for my prediction. I kept saying Tennessee has 0% chance. Tennessee does have a chance to win this game, and there's some things that they have to do in order to get there. We'll get into that in just a second, but Kaner sabotaged me. He sat there and watched me say 0%, and then he never gave me an opportunity to make my prediction. What a turd.
All I heard was Boogie say dogs by Fitty and then walk off the show. And
I got kicked off the show. I dragged Kaner through the mud. You guys know this show is always in the mud. We're all over the place. We laugh. We goof off. Coach Jay's crawling under his desk to plug up his computer, and I'm laughing about it. Kaner's a little bit more professional, so it's hilarious when I get on there and I throw him off. And he's off his game. J-Long 5,000 for 5. We need those middle reps to come through this Saturday. Brick by brick, smash that thumbs up. I also got yelled at for using Butch Jones quotes this week, but that's okay. Let's jump back into it. Let's talk a little bit more recruiting. Again, huge weekend. 5 official visitors. There is some bad news. What do you think about Kai Bates? Because Kai Bates will not be here. I don't know if you read the War Room. He will not be here this weekend. He took the visit to FSU last weekend. Austin Price, the guys at VolQuest, 247 Sports, they're all still saying, hey, Tennessee's in a good spot. Austin Price, I even saw him on the Sports Animal this week say, if Kai Bates is here, if he tells the coaching staff something privately, I'm going to feel confident. If the coaching staff doesn't know coming out of the weekend, that'll be a little bit of a concern. Well, he's not even going to be here now this weekend. There's been a prediction for him to end up at Florida State. And even after that, man, the people that I trust in recruiting have acted like Tennessee has a shot with Kai Bates. What do you make of him not making it in town?
I don't know what it is, Boogie, but I've always just had a funny feeling about that Kai Bates recruitment. I don't know what it is, just something that ekes you about something and you can't quite put your finger on it. And I don't know what it is, but something's always eked me about it. Before he committed to LSU, it did, and after he decommitted, it still did. So I don't know. I think Kai's kind of a kid that's looking for playing time, and I think Heupel's not the kind of coach to kind of give that nod before you get to campus. So perhaps that's what's causing some of the conflict. But once again, it's hard to kind of armchair quarterback with recruiting and knowing what these kids are actually thinking. I'd always hate to put something out there that isn't the case. It's just kind of me sitting on my little lazy chair, shooting darts at something other than Joe for a second.
Man, the Simmons scoop this was 3 days ago. 3 days ago. It said for weeks Bates has been trending away from LSU, and now the team to beat is Tennessee. Expected back in Knoxville this weekend when Bates committed to LSU over the summer. Tennessee was right there at the top. The Vols never gave up. But then he goes on to say Florida State very much in it too. But this weekend's visit is one to watch in the recruitment of Bates. So it's just interesting to me that VolQuest felt like he was trending to Tennessee. AP, I put out a video earlier this week saying Kai Bates trending to Tennessee. AP said the words, he's trending. He wasn't ready to drop the gift yet. He wasn't ready to say 100%. But, man, what in the world changed that quickly? A couple more super chats here. Donovan for 5. I had to check and make sure that wasn't 8. Says, did y'all see the Carissa Thompson story? Very disgusting, just making stuff up on the sidelines. Coaches trust reporters. This is a way to lose that trust. I have no idea what he's talking about.
I didn't see it. Yeah. You'll have to educate us in the chat. We're stuck in our own little Tennessee world, perhaps.
We don't chase the drama. We are all Tennessee all the time. Russell Moorfield for 5 says, happy Friday, y'all. Sorry I'm late. It's all good, Russell. Thanks for being here. Glad to have you in the chat, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. So Kai Bates, we'll see what happens there. Man, just the fact that he's not visiting makes me think that he's off to FSU. Again, 5 official visitors, tons of guys in the class of 25. I'll let you call your shot here, Coach. Give me somebody we've not talked about that you're excited about that will be in town this weekend.
Sure. There's a couple kids I'm super excited about. Elias Williams is a defensive tackle, I believe. Defense end or tackle now. My memory is escaping me. But I was watching some film on this kid, and this kid's got some twitch, guys, for a big kid. Really excited about him. Great hand fighting technique. Uses his hips really well in narrow positions. Another thing I really like about this kid, he is a violent in the gap. We were talking about that the other day. Someone brought up Jordan Ross, and I started talking about how he's violent in the gap. And the Vols, they've been pinning their ears back. We talked about it a little as well, pinning their ears back, getting good penetration. But when they get penetration, they're going too deep into the other side's line of scrimmage, and they're not squatting in their gap. They're not getting ass deep, as we call it, on the defensive line. And when you get in that gap and you squat in that gap, you have to be violent. You can't just sit there and play catch. If you ever see defensive linemen look like they're waiting for the running back to come to them and playing kind of catch, it's because they're trying to maintain good gap integrity. But when you occupy that gap, you have to occupy that gap with extreme violence. You can't just sit in it willy-nilly and Elias Williams showed that really well. I really love that piece of his game. Awesome to see. Another defensive lineman, I'm just going to keep going on that defensive line. There's a JUCO kid coming in, Brian Taylor, that I'm really excited about as well from the JUCO ranks. Really highly sought after kid, a kid that's kind of more plug and play and would be ready to go. I also know we have a tight end coming in. I'm going to try to say his name. I think I'll butcher it. It's like Salapanga.
Come on. Roger Saliapaga. Say it with me. Saliapaga. Although some people put it in. Some people put it into his name. I'm like, we just making up letters, or is that how you actually pronounce it? Saliapaga. I have no idea.
Saliapaga. Yeah, but give me all the tight ends you can sign me up for. We need them. We're losing both of our tight ends after this year. Would be a huge get if the Vols could get him a good-looking tight end, good-looking, strong tight end.
You've also got Cam Michaels going to be here, 4-star athlete, although he does have the flu, according to VolQuest. He's going to play his high school playoff game tonight, see how he feels tomorrow. The decision coming on Thanksgiving Day. So Vols sound like they're in a good spot. Still got Georgia, Colorado to deal with. I don't know. Thanksgiving Day, Cam Michael commitment live stream. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that one's trending before I go to work on Thanksgiving Day. That might piss off my entire family.
It may.
So we'll see how that one shakes out and decide. I may just pre-record a video on that one. Michael Smith is another one, 4-star tight end. He's a South Carolina commit. He's Jake Merklinger's teammate. Jake Merklinger will also be in town this weekend, so that's one to keep an eye on. Obviously, like Coach Jay said, tight end is a position you got to have a bunch because you're losing a lot there at that tight end position. Something we're talking about, Elias Williams, the defensive lineman that you mentioned. He is a commit. He's a Missouri commit. Tennessee Smokey brought up a point in the chat. These blowout losses have to be impacting recruiting. How much stock do you put into that? But particularly when you're trying to flip a Missouri kid and you just got your brains beat in by Missouri, and he's still holding true to that commitment, but you got Tennessee, Alabama both pushing there. Sounds like Tennessee needs to make up some ground tomorrow with Elias Williams. But how much do you think they really factor in these losses?
I think it depends on the kid, really. But for the most part, I don't think one game does it. I think it's an accumulation of games that can do something like that. But listen, I guarantee you Heupel's out there selling this as an in-betweener year, tweener year, a rebuild, maybe not rebuild's a bad word for it, but maybe retooling kind of year. And, I don't think one game really does that. It's pretty easy to point and say, hey, look, when when we're fully tooled, you've seen what we've done to Missouri in the past and sell it in that way. So I don't think one game can be a problem like that. I don't even think 8-5 can be a huge problem. You put a couple 8-5 years together, I think it can be a problem. And I think certainly if you have a year where you don't make a bowl game, and it's not your first year, a la Billy Napier, I mean, someone like Dion's going to get a pass, right? Because everyone knows he's got to build and it's the first year and yada, yada, yada. But you start to get into that second, third year, you start to be in Billy Napier's position and you're not making bowl games. You can see kids start to flip as you have in Florida.
We're going to get into the Georgia game coming up here in just a second. I'm going to talk down this matchup one last time. We've got 230 people watching in the chat. Do us a favor, smash the thumbs up, share out the link, all that good stuff. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, make sure you go check out the merchandise at bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. You can get my favorite shirt right now, the Talkin VAWLS letter shirt. You can also show people that you are a member of the cult, or you can let them know how you feel about the Georgia Bulldogs. Whatever you want, get in where you fit in. Bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. That link is also in the description below where you can go check it out. Also, you want to be a member of this channel. Do you like the videos, the live streams, the content, the community, whatever it is, the fan call-in show, whatever draws you to this channel, you like it, you want to support it, you want to make sure we keep this thing moving full steam ahead, hit that join button down below or click that link that is pinned to the top of the live chat. You can become a member of this channel for as little as $1 a month, access to custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, fan call-in shows, all kinds of perks and benefits. But as I always say, more importantly, you're supporting this channel. It's fan-funded. Look, it is fan-funded. The only reason this thing drives is because of you guys. It ain't because of ad revenue. It ain't because of all that. I don't have sponsors, right? That's something else that you don't see a lot of on this channel. I don't stop every 10 minutes to say, hey, this is brought to you by enter random sponsorship here. So thank you guys for the way you support. Coach Rice is here dropping a $2 super chat, says, what's up, Talkin VAWLS bros, watching when I can. Coach Rice was about to call in sick today. He was about to call in sick today so he could jump on here and talk about this recruiting weekend with me and Coach Jay. But he'll be here next Friday. He's off for the Thanksgiving weekend, so he's going to jump on and talk some Tennessee Vanderbilt with us next Friday morning. Hunter for 5, appreciate that. Morning Boogie. And Coach, tall task tomorrow, but not impossible. The last thing is this team needs is the fans to give up. The last thing this team needs is the fans to give up in Neyland. That is such a big question for me going into this thing. How do our fans respond, right? Not necessarily how does this team respond. I'm just curious to see what Neyland looks like. Is it rowdy? Is it that hostile environment? I think if Tennessee had taken care of business against Missouri, you can forget that Florida game. You can forget that Alabama game. I think this fan base would be ready to go take it to Georgia, even if things played out exactly the way they did. Even with, Georgia blowing out Ole Miss, even though the SEC is off the line, I still think Tennessee would have been saying, hey, we can go get to a New Year's Six bowl. We can go get a 10-win season. We can wreck their season. I'm just curious to see what type of fan base shows up. Donovan for another 8 says, Coach Jay, Chattanooga, NC State, and Kent State are the first 3 games next year. Over, under 15 touchdowns by Nico. I say over. Hashtag Nico statue. Hashtag GOAT. Man, we've made it almost 45 minutes, and Coach hasn't gone on a Nico rant. You guys are just baiting him with $8 super chats and now just straight up questions.
Yeah, I've probably created a bunch of monsters throughout the chat, right?
You created a divide in the cult. There's Colt A and Colt B, or there's Colt 7 and Colt 8. Maybe that's the name. Colt 8.
Colt 8. Yeah, there's a sub following there. Listen, Nico is gonna be great. He's going to have been in this system for quite some time by the time he takes that field. I didn't know they had set the actual dates of the schedule, though. That's kind of cool if that's how it shook out. I like the fact that he gets to get his feet under him real quick in Chattanooga. NC State, I believe, is a neutral field game, if I'm not mistaken. So that will certainly be an interesting game. NC State's played well at times. Still a team Tennessee should take care of. And, Kent State is Kent State. So certainly Nico should be putting up good numbers against them. I am very, very excited, as you all know, to see what Nico can do in Josh Heupel's offense.
All right, let's jump into this thing. Let's talk Tennessee versus Georgia. You guys have already said tall task. Let's take a listen to some of the just the high spots of Josh Heupel's media appearance this week.
opportunity to learn from it as we watch the tape. End of the day, some of the things that we talked about going into the game, we didn't do. We got to play smarter football, in particular on the offensive side of the football. You look at the drives, most of them end with a major penalty that puts you in, second and extra long or first and extra long, and the turnovers on the plus side of the territory as well. So a lot to learn from. At the same time, you got to wash it, whether you win or lose, and you got to move on to the next one. No matter what you do the previous week, you got to put the game behind you. Certainly, we understand the quality of the opponent that's coming to town this week. Our guys understand, who they are, what they're about, and the way that they're going to play, and be a great test for us. Well, you're always going to subtly change your scheme based on what you're seeing structure-wise and personnel-wise on the other side. You always try to put those guys in a position where they can go win. And, in this one, there's a bunch of one-on-ones. It's going to be tight, contested coverage out on the outside. At the end of the day, they're going to have to go win some of those battles. And they got really good players across the board. Defensively, thick, strong, athletic up front. They can run. They cover extremely well on the back end. They don't miss tackles. You see them in close quarters and in open space. They tackle extremely well. Offensively, they got dynamic playmakers. A few of those guys are just getting back and getting truly healthy right now. But the quarterback's playing extremely well, really efficient, been accurate. He's done a really nice job.
It's never a good sign when your coach is up there talking about the matchup and he chuckles every time he talks about how good they are and how much talent they have. Coach Heupel knows what he's up against on Saturday. Timothy McGee for 5 says, sometimes our fans need to understand majors would win 10 games the next year, go 5-6, and food for thought, you can't be at the top all the time. Yeah, I understand that. That's a valid point. But I think if Josh Heupel went out and won 5 games, people are going to turn on him real quick. That's not the standard at Tennessee. Johnny Majors, as great as he was, the standard is not to go win 5 games. The standard is to be elite, and that's what Coach Heupel is striving for. Big challenge ahead of Tennessee on Saturday. Georgia scoring 40 points a game, giving up only 15 points per game. Being on with Kaner, he talked about how they're not the Georgia of old. They don't have all these studs, and they put how many guys in the draft? Like 34 guys in the last 3 years. Tons of first-rounders on defense particularly. They're playing, like I said, I think they're starting to trend up. They're starting to play their best football right now, this late in the season. I can rattle off all the players and the stats and the numbers. What do you think about this Georgia football team?
I get what everyone's saying. Like they don't have like Bo Jackson from Tecmo Bowl or something like that. They don't have that guy on their team this year. So that's encouraging because I feel like they had a couple of those guys last year, certainly on the defensive side of the ball, and particularly on the defensive line, was able to be extremely disruptive, especially in zero in that A gap. So that was a problem. I think this year our offense line should be able to deal with that a little bit better. This team is really good in the secondary. This defense is kind of designed to funnel everything to that secondary. They're sure tacklers. They play you little tight in coverage, and it's almost like they've been taught to be really physical. Not almost, they have been taught to be really physical in their coverage. A lot of hand fighting. They don't like to give up a lot of space. They can be very violent with the wide receivers. The wide receivers got to push through that contact. I thought we did a bad job of that as the most part last year. Our young wide receivers in this game need to be physical with the Georgia DBs. They can be a bit of a problem, but I do think that there are ways you can catch them. I think they are susceptible over the middle of the field. So there are spots where you can catch that defense. And then for whatever reason, it's tough to get into the red zone. But then once you do, for some reason, they've been giving up some points in the red zone. So I think there is certainly opportunity there. Tennessee can't be relegated to 3 points every time they get in the red zone in this game. If they do, it will be a recipe for loss, and Tennessee will definitely lose this game if that happens. From an offensive standpoint, I touched on it. When Georgia's on offense, that is, the Will linebacker has to be better. They are going to put him in conflict. They have been watching that position, I promise you. promise you, they've been watching that will linebacker, and they are coming up with tight end crossing routes, slant crossing routes, play action flats, play action tight end post. They will be putting this will in conflict. I promise they will be putting that will linebacker in conflict. He must succeed at it. And then we have to be able to get pressure on Beck. When they drop back for their larger passes, we can't let them take the lid off. We have to do a good job of keeping everything in front of us. For the most part, I think Tennessee has done that. So we really need to get to that quarterback when we have those opportunities. We also can't kind of give up that outside trap, that outside zone that Florida and Missouri beat us with, that run. We need to maintain good outside gap integrity, get sucked in, and they have to squeeze that play back inside. If we can't squeeze that inside, we've got to get that corrected as well. And then, of course, I'll go to everyone's favorite player, Joe Milton. Really, Joe has to be able to run the football. He has to be able to charge his middle linebackers in secondary, honest, and looking at other things to do.
When you look at the stat sheet from last week against Missouri, Joe ran the football more than anybody else on the football team. He ran it 10 times, but I think it was too little too late. I think they got to get Joe going early. And, that was the narrative. That was the theme all week going into that game, is he needs to get hit early. They never really gave him that opportunity to run the football and get hit early. I felt like, again, too little too late. I think Joe's going to have some time. Georgia, they're not – it's not like they're out there – at the top of the conference in sacks. They don't get home a lot. They average like 2 sacks a game. It's around the middle of the pack when it comes to where they're at with sacks. They do have a good defense. They don't give up a lot of yards on the ground. They don't give up a lot of points. But I think Joe Milton's going to have time. I don't think it comes down to Joe Milton. I think it comes down to whether or not Tennessee can run the football. And what's the magic number with Josh Heupel? Like 175 yards, something like that. If Tennessee can't run the football, they have no chance. They will not be in this game if they can't run the ball. We talked about it earlier. I saw somebody in the chat saying, who's to blame? Who's to blame for the lack of discipline on Josh Heupel football teams? And sometimes the numbers are going to be skewed when you run an up-tempo offense. When you're going fast, you're going to run more plays than everybody else, so your penalties are going to be higher, your yards are going to be higher, your points are typically going to be higher. I understand that, but you just can't – this team cannot – they can't bounce back from a 1st and 20. They can't. They just can't do it. You've got to be able to run the football, play clean football, put yourself in 2nd and manageable, 3rd and short. Those type of scenarios Joe Milton can handle. When the playbook's open a little bit and you can either run the football or you can run some play action. There's just no – Tennessee has absolutely – I said 0 on Locked On Vols, 0% chance to win this football game if they can't run the football. That's more important than anything else on the table for me going into the game tomorrow.
Yeah, they have to be able to run the football 100%. It's going to keep them honest. They are going to want to dare Tennessee to pass with their scheme. There's no doubt about it. So we have to be able to run the football to keep them honest. We can't have a repeat performance of last week, or it will be 100% recipe for disaster. And I would say this with the Josh Heupel discipline comment, right? To me, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm totally off base here, but there's different approaches to coaching, right? There's kind of we work extremely hard, but we have fun. We're a little bit looser. And then there's a mean old cuss, every time you look sideways or bat an eye in the wrong direction. It's gassers, it's Oklahoma drills, and it's hitting time. Both have strengths and weaknesses, and I think a byproduct of this team running a little loosey goosey is you're going to get a couple more penalties, right? That's just, to me, kind of a philosophy thing. Can you clean that up and can you have better balance with it? 1,000,000%. But for me, I think Tennessee likes to have fun. They like to make football fun, not a chore. And to me, it's a byproduct of that. Maybe that's just my tinfoil conspiracy, but it's kind of how I feel about it.
Carson Beck right now playing really good football. Again, everybody, and maybe it's just because I'm surrounded with Tennessee fans and it's kind of, I don't know, it's just what gets said on the internet. Stetson Bennett gone, and everybody says, oh, it's going to be a downgrade. Carson Beck's going to be a downgrade. Georgia can't figure out their quarterback position. Carson Beck's on pace to break Stetson Bennett's completion percentage record, completing 72% of his passes, thrown for over 3,000 yards. He's playing good football, and they have weapons, man. Brock Bowers, obviously, of course, he comes back last week in the Ole Miss game. 3 catches for 34 yards and a touchdown. He's going to be more active in this game. Ladd McConkey playing good football as well. What's your game plan, old defensive coordinator? What's your game plan to slow down a Georgia offense that, again, scoring 40 points a game, 6th in the country? They run for 180 yards. They're throwing for 324 yards a game. How do you slow down all these weapons the Georgia Bulldogs have on offense?
I think you have to play extremely physical in the first 5 yards of contact, not only with their wide receivers, but with their tight ends, with everybody. Brock Bowers does not come off that line without catching some serious plastic. If Coach Jay is coaching that football game, I want them hit early and often in all 11 positions. I want to make this an extremely physical game. I think everyone's always trying to worry about playing perfect. Like Heupel says, it's not always going to be perfect, but one thing you can control is your level of violence. And I think you need to come out right away on the defensive side of the football game. Lace up your boots extra tight, buckle up that chin strap, and start laying some plastic down, ass down, head up, wrap up, hat on the balls, knees to nuts, really put a lick on them. Let them know we're here to play. We're not here to come within 10 points of you. We're here to tear down goalposts. We're here to ruin your season. We're here to put an absolute lick on you. Play controlled, but play extremely violent. I want to be attacking if I'm Tennessee, and I want to be physical. I want to make it hard for them to get into their routes because I'm jamming them at the line, because I'm sticking the tight end before he can get off. And then stick tight in your coverages. I don't want to see loose padded coverages. Let your safeties worry about keeping them from taking the top off. But everyone not named a safety, I'm telling them to bring their hit stick and let's get going. Let's pin our ears back and let's go. Violence is my key to the game. I know it sounds silly, but that's just how I'd play this. I'd want them hitting early, often, and inside that first 5 yards of contact.
I'm hoping Tennessee starts fast, man, because, again, I question what Neyland Stadium, what the atmosphere is going to look like. We're going to find out. And sometimes I think the conversation I had with Kaner on Monday morning, sometimes what you see on the internet is not what you see in real life. And just because this fan base seems down on YouTube, they seem down on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever you go, there seems to be a lot of negativity. That may not necessarily be the case in who's inside of Neyland Stadium on Saturday afternoon when Tennessee takes on Georgia. I think they need to start fast and try to get the crowd into it early. Don't let Georgia get something cheap or, to get the crowd out of it. We need to take advantage of that atmosphere. Again, talked a lot of recruiting tonight. You need to show those kids what Neyland Stadium, what Knoxville, what Rocky Top is all about. Well, I gave my prediction earlier in the week, as I always do. I'm still feeling the same. I just don't think Tennessee has enough in the gas tank to go compete. My score prediction from Wednesday night was Georgia 34, Tennessee 21. Capone for $10 says, I just want to sleep until September of 2002. Whoa. You're gonna skip Capone. You're gonna skip Nico's entire first year as a starter. I think this football team can be good next year. A lot of it's going to go into what you do in the transfer portal, who comes back for COVID years, what does this roster look like? That's the case every year. I think this team has potential for 2024. Don't sleep, Capone, until 2025. Don't forget, guys, we will be live tomorrow an hour before kickoff. We'll also be live immediately following the game. Capone drops another $2 and says, oh, I meant 2024. See, you're so full of battered ball syndrome, you skipped a whole year, Capone. You skipped a whole year. But I feel like that's what we've done this entire year. I think we've been looking ahead to the Nico era. And we haven't enjoyed anything about football, and I get it. When your two biggest wins are Kentucky and South Carolina, it's hard to be excited about football. But again, I'll be dropping a video early in the morning, the game day video. Make sure you go check that out. Tailgate show an hour before kick. Post-game show immediately following the game. Coach, the floor is yours. Give us a couple of keys, and what's your final score prediction?
Yeah, swinging back really quick. Be violent, be physical against the run and the pass. I want to see a lot of mixed coverage, a lot of tight man coverage with two up top, cover two, man under a lot of times. Minimal cover three, use it in spurts, but don't overuse it. Watch those safety switches. Georgia's going to be trying to beat you with that. I try to minimize those safety switches in this game from a defensive end. From an offensive game plan, set the tone early. Set the tone early and often with your run game. I want to see you attack the edges some. I like to see some speed option, not to the short side of the field, please. Yes. To the wide side of the field with the speed option. I want to see Joe run RPO at a high level. I want to see him have good reads. I want to see him read when that end crashes down correctly, hand off when he's supposed to hand off, read the tight pass when he's supposed to pass. I want to see him hit the slant. I want to see our wide receivers, our young wide receivers, one of them must step up, whether it be Nimrod or Webb, or one of these guys needs to step up and have himself a day if we're to win this game. I sat in my old car driving. I missed the Wednesday stream, so I caught up on it Thursday morning. And, I hear Boogie, pick against Tennessee. I hear Coach Rice pick against Tennessee. I hear Xavier. I hear Dauber. I hear everyone. Well, Coach J ain't gonna pick like that, all right? Coach J is gonna go ahead and call his shot right now, ladies and gentlemen. Tennessee is gonna pull off a shocker. There is gonna be Georgia fans at the game. Yeah, I've heard about the 8 people who bought tickets from a Tennessee person. Those 8 people are gonna be sitting there with their jaw on the floor when Tennessee rips down the goalpost and wins a shocker, 32-29. Go Big Orange.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here.
I don't know that you believe that. I don't know that you believed your speech that you just gave. I don't know that you believe that. I think it's all gamesmanship. I think it's all manipulation to build Colt 8, and you're turning against Colt 7. So I don't know, man. I hope you're right.
I left out the part where Nico comes in at halftime and leads the comeback. That's what I forgot.
Oh, okay. I got you. Colt 8. Man, I would love nothing more, and it would be the most Tennessee thing ever. I think it would almost be bittersweet, because if Tennessee goes out and beats Georgia, we're going to get on here for the postgame. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have a good time. And then Sunday's going to roll around, and we're all going to be talking about, man, if we had only beat Missouri. It's like, with this fan base, I almost wore a shirt, Danhausen wrestling shirt, that just says cursed. I feel like we're cursed. We're going to be down forever. Hope is on the way. He wears a number 8. That's how we're going to wrap up the show. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Love the Friday morning stream. Shout out to Coach Jay for being my ride or die all year long, man. All year long. These Friday streams have hit different. They've been fun. It's good to kind of get on here the day before the game and break it down one last time. I think this has been a good thing. We'll keep it rolling next year. Next week, we'll have Coach Rice on here for the Friday show as well. But, man, oh, man, hopefully we can go out and shock the world on Saturday. But if not, guess what? We'll be here for Vol Therapy immediately after the game. But that's going to do it for this one. He's Coach Jay. My name's Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and